So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.
Yo, what's up, friends, family, and fans? It's your man, Stone Stafford, and of course, I got my partner, my right-hand guy, my, what do you call it in the Air Force? My wingman.
Nah.
Man. Johnny Van. Johnny Vaughn.
It's okay, man. Tomato. We'll rock with it today. It's cool.
Yo, so we are joined with a very special guest, someone very near dear to my heart, good friend of mine, film and TV director and producer, Rob Hardy. What up, Rob?
What's up, man? What's happening with y'all? How y'all feeling?
Man, we feeling great.
Everything's good.
Love to have you on here. So, real quick, just in case you guys have been living under a rock, or maybe you don't own a television, or you've never been to a movie theater before, Rob is a TV and film director. He owns Rainforest Films, and anything I say, Rob, is incorrect or has been updated, feel free to jump in. But he owns Rainforest Films, and you've seen his work. So even if you don't know his face or know his name, you have seen his work, because my man has done everything and has worked with everybody. How to Get Away with Murder, Power, Vampire Diaries, Stargirl, All American, Grey's Anatomy, Blackish. I could go on for weeks and weeks and weeks. But yeah, so that's my man, Rob Hardy. Rob, thanks for coming, man. We appreciate you being on here.
Hey, appreciate you having me. You know what I'm saying? Means a lot to be here.
Shoot, man. So as y'all know, we keep it real. So we're going to plug Rob with some questions and stuff like that. But jumping right off it, Rob, two of the things I want to know. One thing we do in this podcast, whereas we have fun and all this kind of stuff, we try to slip in little life lessons in there. You know, try to teach kids a little something. You know.
Exactly.
But
it's more so for me. I'm the most underdeveloped on the podcast, Rob. So all advice goes to Johnny.
All right, that's what's up. Now I know what I'm working with.
There's a lot of underdevelopment going on, but that's a whole nother show.
You did say you were gonna get me back. You did say that.
Not that I would know, though. By the way, not that I would know. But anyway, so what I wanted to ask you, man, I've done this before where music publishing is concerned and where songwriting is concerned. I want to know, if at all, what would you say would be the top 5 life lessons you've learned throughout your career being a TV and film director and producer?
Wow. So top 5 lessons that I've learned.
That's a loaded one.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, so the first one is perseverance. You know, because I think a lot of times, especially in entertainment, you are always like seeing the blogs or reading the clippings or whatever of some new person that blew up. And, you know, it seemed like it was overnight, or they went here and got the deal. But usually the overnight success is overnight after 5 to 12 years of the grind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely say perseverance, because this is like, this is a marathon and not a sprint. And the people that make it really fast usually flame out really fast. And the people that are here and have the career have like that long, steady, you know, way to go. It's kind of like, you know, just to give a different analogy, if you have a glass of wine, you could sip that wine and just have an even kill and have a good ride and you enjoy it. But if you go smoke crack because you want something really fast and really quick, it'll kill you. You know what I'm saying? Or mess your life up. I know that's a crazy analogy, but I'm just keeping it 100. Like,
effective.
You know, it's like the slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
I'd also say another thing is self-confidence, because, you know, to make it in this business, like in most things, you get constant rejection. And somebody tells you that your stuff isn't good enough, or you're not creative enough, or you're not whatever. You're an actor, you don't look great for the role. If you're a director, people challenging your vision. So you have to have, you know, enough self-confidence to be able to persevere when everybody kind of comes against you. And you have to have that belief in yourself that you can make it happen. Another trait, I think, is humility, because you need to be able to have people be able to give you constructive criticism, so that way you can get better as an artist. And I tell people all the time that, like, the word business is longer than the word show, right? So it's show business. So there's going to be people there, some of them that hate on you and just don't like you, but other times it's really constructive criticism. And you have to have the humility to be able to kind of understand the difference and take, you know, the good stuff out of whatever people say and help that make you be stronger. And also that humility allows you to kind of always, you know, be grounded and identify with the people that are around you.
Okay.
You know, I would say that. No, what's that, 3? Number 4, I would say to have a plan. Like, you got to be able to kind of visualize what you want to do and then find somebody that has a similar career. So whether, regardless of director, actor, cinematographer, musician, who else that you can look at out there and say, hey man, that person did something like what I want to do. And then study the steps that they took and then create a plan based off of that and then model it after your life. Because whatever you have around you is exactly what you're going to need to make it. And the last thing I would say, you know, for me is spirituality. And that's different for different people. But I say that
definitely for this one.
Yes. Listen, man, I'm going to say, especially, you know, and I'm not necessarily talking about like religion per se, more so a connection with God, connection with the higher power, because you're going to need like a protection and a covering. You're going to need to be able to understand that sometimes when stuff doesn't make sense, what you're going through now is for something 5 moves down the road. Right. And you may really want this thing badly. You want to be down with this company. You want this project. You want whatever. And sometimes, man, stuff doesn't happen for a reason. And you get in with the wrong people, and next thing you know, oh, you jammed up in a bad situation or a bad project. You got bad energy, or it was a flop. So having a spiritual center kind of helps bring everything else together, because it's perspective, and you'll need that to really keep you in this business and make you feel whole inside. Right. So those are my 5 things if you're trying to make it in this business, according to your boy Robbie B.
That's any business.
Exactly.
I want to jump into something that's kind of pertinent to like right now. We know, me and Stone know your catalog. I mean, I was introduced to you, I won't say how young I was, but the first time I remember seeing your name was when I saw a wall of 12 videos at Blockbuster.
Wow!
That was.
Hey, can I just tell you? Those that don't know, that was my first film ever.
That was first
gave
film.
The role in.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your thing, Johnny. But I just want to say that they said, what, you was in that? They said, what role do you play? Rob, I tell everybody, oh, I'm in the opening shower scene.
Oh, really?
My bad, Tyrese. My bad. Tyrese, not Tyrese. That was a Tyson.
Tyson Beckford.
My bad, Tyson. My bad. I'm just fronting.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Johnny.
It's funny how those threads tie through time, because literally I was a kid when I saw that, and here I am talking to both of these gentlemen. But what I wanted to ask, though, we know your experiences there. Now, Stone named a lot of the stuff that you've done. He didn't name some of my favorite sci-fi TV. He didn't mention The Flash. He didn't mention Black Lightning that you did last year. You've done so many various things. Like, over time, do you approach each project as if it's something brand new, or have you developed a formula that allows you to step into these different roles on these different sets of these different writing styles and still be able to direct at a high level, to be versatile enough to be able to do it?
You know, and listen, shout out to Stone on that Twa Pandora's box. He was the cop. He was definitely not doing no sex scenes. But
I found the knife, and I looked like I just ran a mile.
There you go.
That was horrible.
Got part of that in his crib. You know what I'm saying? In his house.
Right. Overacting at its finest.
Good looking out on that. But no, on your other question, it's actually both. Like I approach storytelling the same way, which is just trying to figure out like what's the story about. What about this story is universal? So as human beings, we can relate to the characters. So are they afraid? Do they have issues? Do they want something? Like, what's that about, to where whether you in College Park or Compton, you know what I'm saying, or Sicily, you could relate to whatever that is as a human being. So that's like the approach to the storytelling. And then the worlds, I try to get into the worlds because like that's what makes it unique. So whether it's the Flash running, you know, it's vampires, it's teenagers, you're in a hospital, you know, or it's drug dealers, whatever it is, you know, let's make that world feel authentic and fun and fly, but then grounded in like a human story that we could all relate to. So I love TV because every episode is something different. It's a different world. So, and I get a chance to play make believe and hopefully make people feel something.
So would you say you prefer television over film, or are they equal, or what? Like literally if two projects came to you, all things being equal, but one was a film and one was television, which one?
The check aside, the check itself aside.
The check aside, you know what?
Or even break it down on that. Like why break down the check?
Sorry. So from a creative standpoint, it depends on what the project is. So the way that it works is in film, it's a one-off. So you're shooting your film, you're the director, it's your vision, it's whatever you want to do in concept. And obviously if it's a sequel to something, there's kind of a formula there. In television, you are telling a chapter in a book. So that way, if I'm doing chapter 11, then the writers know how chapter 11 sets up chapter 20. So I got to lean more into what the writer wants and then put my spin on it in TV. Unless I'm doing the first episode. First episode is the pilot. That's when you set everything up. So like I did that for All American or The Quad that shot in Atlanta. And then you help building the world like you're doing a movie. But what's also cool about TV is that you can set your watch to it. In TV, they're going to say, hey, on June 13th, show up because we got an air date on, you know, in October. Movies kind of slide around a little bit. So you think you're about to shoot the movie in July. They say, well, something came up. We're going to shoot in September. Well, something came up. We're going to shoot in November. So movies is kind of harder to like be consistent and consistently work as a movie director because they just do those far and few between. So that's the difference between TV and movies. And now, but like the process and visually, they look so close to each other. So they both kind of work. And the best way to describe the checks between TV and movies, there are a few people really getting paid off movies, you know, but that's when you start like working in it for a while. But I knew like when I first started getting into TV in like the mid 2000s, I knew a bunch of dope film actors that had amazing apartments. But then when I started hanging out with TV actors, they all had amazing houses because they were getting paid closer to the same money per episode. So if you were doing a network TV show and you have, you're doing 16 or 22 episodes a season, then you get paid that whole check every 8 days for that new episode. So I'll give you an example. Anthony Anderson did The Departed. So he probably, you know, made a certain amount of money in The Departed for that movie that he shot over 6 months with Leo DiCaprio and, you know, Jack Nicholson and all those. But then he goes and does Blackish, and he probably made a little bit less than that check in one episode of Blackish. But now there's 22 of those in a year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's just like entertainment though, right? The one that seems to be the biggest, we were just talking about, we just did an episode called Behind the Scenes, right? And the one that needs to get all the shine, all the whoop, all the star, the glitter, which would be TV and film, or film, I'm sorry. Yep. That seems to be the one you want to be in, but it's maybe the smaller one per se, you know what I mean? Or behind the scenes, that's where all the money is. So that's just
no doubt.
Entertainment.
No doubt. It's almost like if you're in music and you're doing publishing and you're getting all the money from publishing, all the money, royalty statements. So for us, that's mailbox money or another stream of revenue, however you want to call it. But the person in front of the camera, the person dancing, the person singing, you know, they get to shine, but did they write the song? You know what I'm saying? You know, do they own the publishing for that song? Right. That's who ones that really getting the checks. And the cool thing about being behind the scenes is you can go wherever you want to go and nobody really knows you. But once you're in front of the camera, everybody knows you, so they think that you have all this money. Right. But really, it's the behind the scenes people that are the ones really making the money.
Man, you have no idea the knowledge you just dropped. I mean, one, I love hearing somebody talk about publishing who's not necessarily a publisher. So y'all don't have to hear it from me all the time. But what you just said is crazy about being able to move how you want to move, but no one really knows you. Like, we in society, we have to get over this whole wanting to be famous.
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, I'd rather be rich and unknown than famous and broke. Like, everybody wants to be known, but like I said, like in acting, you get typecasted, right? You can't just move in and out unless you like freaking Samuel Jackson. Like, that dude can go from the president to a mail carrier. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And you believe it every time.
And you believe it every time, because he's going to yell at you and he's going to cuss. But but it's so big on what you just said, though, about being able to move. Because in music, one of the big things is everybody wanted to be an A&R person at a label. And I know so many people who were independent and then they got to a label and then they hated it. They were like, I can't move how I want to move, and I'm stuck in this process and the bureaucracy, and they hated it. So two of the big things that if we want to just get y'all to pull out of this right now, because Rob already just dropped bombs and we haven't even been in this thing for 15 minutes. And one of the things is, not always being in front of the camera or always being on the stage. And then second, big isn't always better.
Right.
And so thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Johnny, I want to go back to something, but is there anything you want to say before I did that?
There is. I mean, I know y'all best friends and all. You was gonna hog the stage a little bit. I was gonna hop back in a minute. I'm gonna double dutch it. I've got a personal gripe, Rob, and I want to get your take on what this is. It's like just over the last decade, and we're getting it in the music industry and the radio too. But in film and TV, there's been a lot of reboots, a lot of retelling of old stories. How do you feel as a director and a writer yourself? Do you feel like we're getting to our evolutionary plateau, that we've told all the stories we can tell and the best we can do now is to retell an old one? Or is there something on the cusp that we're about to get a new wave of fresh ideas and new stories?
Well, I think that we're always coming up with new ideas, new stories, and new worlds. And especially now because there's so many places for content, and everybody, whether it's, Quibi to Netflix to FX, to BET, and of course the majors. Everybody's looking for content, and everybody's looking, competing for eyeballs. So they're looking for storytellers. I think that the reboot is all about nostalgia and marketing. So if I have like a show, let's call it the A-Team from when me and Stone were coming up, and that was hot, then if I can kind of repackage that in a way that sounds cool, you get the parents and the younger folks. Like, I remember when my older boy was 5, they did a reboot of G.I. Joe and Thundercats and Transformers and Tron all at the same time. And that was all popping when I was young. So I started watching that with him. Like, they got the Thundercats because it took me back. But I'm watching it with the young boy, and I'm like, well, let me get these toys for you because it took me back to my childhood. Yeah. So I think what Hollywood does is they're counting on us, the people that were around at the very beginning, to watch Magnum P.I. or watch The Equalizer and all that, and then introduce it to another generation. And for them, it's just some free content, some IP that's sitting on the shelf not making money. But once they reboot it, you'll look at the rebooted version, and then they can rerun the old version on some other network. So they want to get twice the money for that catalog for something that was just sitting there. And that's why I think that's never going to go away. And as long as the reboots are creative, then the old heads are going to be tuning in, and then the newer generation is going to be tuning in too, which is why them Star Treks keep making money. And the original Star Trek was only on for 2 seasons before it got, like the Kirk version, it was on for 2 seasons before it got canceled. And if you think about just how many other Star Treks that there were, from TV to movies, now you got these joints on CBS Access. It's hey man, you could like feed your family, off of one of those.
Y'all caught that Philly right there, right? See, Rob's from Philly, I'm from Jersey. These joints, right? Yeah, y'all know about that. Y'all know that they're up top in the house.
All day, man.
But that's a good point, and I'm going to start off by saying I couldn't do any better. So I'm not hating. I couldn't have done any better. But the reboot that they did of The Wiz, I was so mad. Because I tell every kid I know, especially if you black, you have to watch The Wiz. You know what I mean? And then when they came out with that reboot, I was like, okay. And I was like, what the heck is this? And I go back to say I couldn't have done any better. So I respect the talent. But come on, man. Come on, man. We should have did a movie version. Chris Brown should have been the Scarecrow. But that's just me. That's just me. I don't know what I'm talking about. But
you know what though? You know, all that's tough because like sometimes you can sit back and be like, man, why would they tear that movie up like that? Or why would they cast this person versus the other? But what I see on the other side of it is a lot of times you start out with a great idea and a great star in mind. So let's just say for you, it was Chris Brown. Okay, cool. So we got Chris Brown, we got this idea, but then all these executives have to kind of justify their job. So somebody throws out an idea, and then this amazing concept starts to change into something else that's got to satisfy everybody that's paying for it. Yeah. And then maybe when Chris Brown sees the new version, he don't want to do it. Or maybe he's now, by the time it gets ready to get done, he's on another project.
Doing
so it's
something
like,
else.
Who else can we get? You know what I'm saying? So then you wind up with this dope project with these dudes attached to it that becomes something totally new. And I'm not calling out The Wiz. I'm just saying whatever.
Yeah, in general, right.
Yeah. Then it becomes something else. And we've had that development-wise where we sell a concept for a show and the network is like, we love it. We just got these 5 changes. Then you make them 5 changes and then leads to another 5 changes. And so then by the time it's done, it doesn't even resemble what you sold to them. And then you're thinking, man, do I really want to make this? Are my homeboys going to be like, yo, Rob, like what? That's terrible.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But now you sold it. It's become something else. And now you're kind of trapped in this place of trying to make it what it was. But now the execs that you're rocking with don't even know how to get it back to the start.
I love this conversation, man, because it's so parallel with music. You know what I mean? Like the reboots of old TV shows, they ain't nothing but sampling. You know what I mean?
That's
so
it.
many kids nowadays know older songs because of sampling. And then what you're saying with a song, an artist comes in, they have this great idea for their project, but once it goes through A&R and the execs and all this crap, not Katy Perry, but what was her name? Blonde girl. She always did drinking songs and crap.
Kesha?
Anyway, Kesha.
Kesha.
You know, Kesha hated the music she was doing with I think it was Dr. Luke and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then once all that kind of stuff went away, she went back. She got to do the music she wanted to do. And not only that, Kesha could actually sing, which you really kind of never really knew on her stuff. So,
well, in the urban world, the same
her.
thing happened with Pink too. I mean, she came in doing the urban stuff, and then finally got to go back and doing some of the pop rock stuff that she done after the LA stuff happened. So, I mean, I think that's a common thing. And I mean, it kind of parallels life in general because sometimes you kind of have to do a little bit of a dance to make whatever your scenario is work because we don't always own our lives the way we want to. I just got to talking to a few friends of mine who said they wish they could work like me because they got normal 9-to-5s. And I was like, it's a lot of responsibility that comes with, working for yourself because, I don't always know where that next thing is going to come from. But, they know what their job is going to be every day. When I step in the studio, I don't necessarily know what's going to happen that day. I don't know what the news cycle is going to bring that day. When you write new songs, you don't know what the content's going to be that day. The same thing so it changes. So there's a give and take, I think, with both. So I think it's a dope parallel just to share.
Sometimes you got to play the game before you can make the rules.
Of course. And it's funny too when you guys talk about like perception, like I think that in our business, people feel like, well, you can do whatever you want to do. And I think that like a lot of my cousins would think that I woke up when I wanted to with a do-rag and like pop some champagne and watch Scarface on. And I was like, well, my life is a whole lot different from that. Or like I had to come into America wipers, like the little rose petals in my feet. And I'm like, nah, it's not quite like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You out there, it's a grind. You making it happen. You know what I'm saying? But I think that in whatever we do, over time, you find pockets of freedom, I guess you could call it that, where you say, oh, this is my lane. I really enjoy what I'm doing. And within this space, I got some latitude. Yeah. But coming up, you know what I'm saying? There's pluses and minuses in every situation.
Yeah, that goes back to your perseverance, because I actually was going to ask you, why do you feel it's so important to persevere? And of course, we know the lessons and the experience you get along the way is valuable as opposed to the quick success. But what you just said also is very important as well. It's like if you can persevere through the times where you have to just follow the rules for now, eventually you get to that point where you can start inserting your own rules and stuff like that. So, question I have for you, in your opinion, right? In your opinion, what makes a good director or producer, whether TV or film, in your opinion? First of all, what exactly is a producer for those who may not know? I think most people have a general idea what a director is, but you can gloss over that if you want. But after those definitions, what do you feel, in your opinion, makes a good one? What makes a good director and what makes a good producer?
So producer director, here's the difference. I'll give a sport analogy because I'm a sport guy. So if you have a team, the director is the coach. So the director works with the players, the actors. The director designs plays to put the actors or the players in the best positions to win, to score, to do whatever. So you work with them, tell people like where to move the camera, give them perspectives on their emotion and where they are at that particular time. The producer is the GM, is the general manager. So the producer then, as the general manager of the team, hires all the assistant coaches. They hire the actors. Anybody that you see, they pay. So they're going to pay my cinematographer, my lighting director. They're going to hire the actors. They're going to give me, the director or the coach, all the tools I need to be able to score a touchdown, kick a goal, drop a bucket, whatever that is. Right. So that's kind of like the relationship together. And what makes a good player or what makes a good GM is your ability to see the big picture of the story, and work well with people and to be able to pivot on a dime. So you come in and you have a plan. I got these plays. I'm the coach. And I have different players with different personalities. Like I need to know how to coach LeBron and Rondo at the same time, and Buddy coming off the bench, Cousins, or coming off the bench, and know the personality types to be able to figure out how to give them what they need to get the best out of them. Then being able to be flexible enough to say, I got this plan, but it's not working because this person went down. The defense is giving us this over here. We're not in sync. So throw all that out and be open to come up with something new. That is a great director. A great producer does the exact same thing, but from an administrative level. I wanted these 5 things to happen. It's not. So how do we change the schedule around to make it work? We didn't get our top 3 people, but who else can I go out to bring somebody in? How do I move money around because this department is working well and that department isn't, so they're going to need some more love. A producer pivots. A bad producer says, nope, it has to be this way, and that's it. It's not how the world works. Right. It's like, being in a relationship. You may have what you want, and then you get with that real person, with that real personality. And then you got to evaluate. You say, all right, well, she's good at this. I'm trying to figure this out. So let's adjust. I'm going to do a little bit more of this. You do a little bit less of that. And then it works. But the minute that you say, nope, then maybe you're not as good of a producer or a director or a leader as you thought you were.
That was an amazing explanation.
Just for the fact that you understand sports, because some, people like Stone don't really have a full grasp to be able to explain a sports analogy like that. Rob, that was talent. I have appreciation for that.
Hey, y'all appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
Nah. Don't suck up that crap. This dude hasn't done anything athletic since Pee Wee. So please.
Oh, really?
Well, we still supposed to have our race, by the way.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that. We can still do it.
Beat me in 100. He swears he could beat me. Will you tell this fool? Rob was there when I was running.
Rob is literally seeing me for the 3rd time ever, so I don't know if he was stepping that arena to just start gassing his boy.
Listen. Here's what I will say. I will say Stone did his thing in track back in high school, and I will say that he did his thing in football in high school, and he played basketball recreationally in high school. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it right there.
You'll let that go right there.
This dude with the most awkward jump shot gonna talk to somebody.
But it went in though. It went in. That's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? It went in.
That's all right. I'm gonna let it slide on this one. Now you get one as a guest. You get one. So Rob, let me ask you a question. With audio visual kind of playing like a front runner role where influencing society is concerned, do you feel personally, do you personally feel any responsibility with some of the content or projects that you take on? And then two, do you feel overall that the entertainment industry in general should take more responsibility with the content or not?
Yes and yes. And I think it's kind of all relative. Like I feel a sense of responsibility. Okay, so on the personal level, I feel a responsibility to tell the best story that I can. And I don't believe that every story has to be about, positivity or whatever. I think that every story should feel authentic, which is well-rounded, real people that are flawed. Maybe those people are teachers, maybe they're parents, maybe they're gangsters. It's okay for me, but as long as we humanize those people, I think it's irresponsible when you say everybody's one way and there's no kind of context. I believe that's where we have to be responsible because, we all do different things, we all have different perspectives, but if we're real people, then it pushes the needle forward. I think that Hollywood in general needs to do a better job of doing just that, giving more balance to where there's more stuff that is positive, about us and hiring more filmmakers of color and content creators of color to tell our stories and their stories. But even within that and with everything else that they do, making us be real people. Like you can't just be some mad gangster, you know what I'm saying, with no, why are you mad? What do you like? What's good about you? You know what I'm saying? So I think that by humanizing us as people, it changes the narrative on who we are. You know what I'm saying? Because then we're viewed as real people. Because I know a lot of, people that aren't Black that do some of the craziest things ever. But then they're given the leeway to be able to say, well, they were just young. Well, they were upset. Well, they didn't know. It's because you're viewing them as a human being that made a bad choice. And we deserve the same thing.
I saw, y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a huge John Oliver fan. I was watching last night. They did this whole thing about how just the history of segregation has been taught wrong by omitting certain things. And now people have biased perceptions based on a lack of information. But then they also did a piece about how it's slowly starting to change because people are starting to step up and say, we need to teach it this way. I know in my industry, we're starting to see it a little bit to where more people are starting to have power that can make these decisions to where we start to see these types of changes. Are you starting to see that balance shift in the film and television world yet? I mean, I know some of my favorite shows have gotten Black showrunners for like the first time ever. And I'm like, I immediately saw a difference. So are you starting to see a shift that could possibly turn into that long-term change that we're talking about? So that not only do we have to take responsibility, but we have the power to be able to be responsible for it.
I think the short answer is yes, depending on who that person is. For example, if you look like historically, like even at the Supreme Court, you had Thurgood Marshall, you had Clarence Thomas. They're both Black people, but they both have two totally different perspectives on what that means and how to administer the law. So then if you get a content creator that has an eye for balance and telling a good story, and they have a specific mission to where they want to do that, then great. And you could have a non-Black person that's still open to the same thing that can also be good. Then you could have a Black person that runs the show and they don't care anything about that. And all they want to do is tell, cops good, crooks bad, regardless. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of that has to do with, vetting who those people are. At the same time, there's also a force that's trying to push in the opposite direction, especially politically, to say, and we ought to teach a different narrative. We ought to teach a narrative that, slavery was a necessary evil, or that, you gotta meet these gangsters with exceptional brute force to protect the good people of the suburbs. Right. That was when, like, historically, when you talk about that, like that movie Birth of a Nation is what really like flipped the game, because after slavery, when you had the Emancipation Proclamation, you had all these Black people that then ran for Congress and ran for Senate and were making money and were doing things. And all they wanted to do was come up. But then you had people that were afraid that meant that it was going to be some kind of a retribution for slavery. So what did they do? They made this movie, Birth of a Nation. It was the first movie ever screened at the White House that showed the Black people taking over and then abusing white women. And then it was the rise of the Ku Klux Klan that fought for the honor of what the country was about. So that, if in the wrong hands, how you shape history and how you shape, what's important can really throw people off. And that's part of the challenge of what's going on in our country right now, is you have certain people that are in power that are trying to reshape the perception. And so we need something to really counter that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, man, that's all I got for you. But you know what? Now I can see why you were recently HBO's nominee for the director to watch. So congratulations on that.
Absolutely.
I absolutely see why, man. So not without sounding condescending or anything like that, dude. As always, and as you know, I'm very proud of you and very proud of everything that you're doing, bro. And just keep doing it. I love the fact that you're pushing your way to the forefront of your craft. And man, I just proud to call you friend and brother. So that's about as mushy as we get on this show. But,
hey, listen. Hey, look, I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all. Me and Stone, like, for real, go way back. I met you when I was probably like 15 yeah. Something like that. And I used to hang out with Stone's brother, Gerald. We the same age and used to go to his house in Trenton. So we like go back. So it's good seeing you do your thing, man. And what's funny is that cut to me going to FAMU out of school and seeing Stone in the TLC video. You know what I'm saying? So, that was like big for us because I didn't know anybody that did that, but he was in the TLC video. They were just popping. I'm probably like 20. Yep. And he's, I forget what song, What About Your Friends, or Baby.
Baby.
You know what I'm saying? And he was over there in the background, like, and we said, oh, that's my homeboy, So it's just, from that to here.
So what's funny is all of a sudden you see that and be like, yo, that's Stone. Meanwhile, I get connected through music to another classmate of ours, a guy named Lee Hudson. Yep. And he's doing soundtracks. He sends me this movie that he's doing a soundtrack for called Chocolate City.
Yeah.
I was like, he's like, yeah, this is Rob Hardy's movie. I was like, Rob?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden Rob saw what I'm doing in music. I see Rob busting the door down in TV and film, and boom. And we just started growing from there. So that is awesome, man. That is awesome. Yeah. So look, appreciate you. We appreciate your time, man. Where can people find you, man? Where can they follow you and kind of connect with you?
I'm on the gram. I'm Real Rob Hardy, Real RealRobHardy. So check me out. Real Rob Hardy. And on Twitter, it's the Real Rob Hardy. THE.
All right. So y'all make sure you go and follow my man. As always, you can follow me on Instagram at Stone007 and on Twitter Stone 007 _ on Instagram is Stone007. And as always, follow us at L.I.F.E on podcast on everything. And my man.
Yep, Just Johnny Vaughn, JustJonyVan, all over the place.
All right, y'all know how it is. We love you. We appreciate you. Thanks again, Rob, for your time. You guys, look, we already know we dropped some knowledge here. So tell a friend, hit that like button. That's how this thing grows. That's how we get bigger. We have way more downloads and subscribers than we do followers. So we need to get that. People look at our Instagram, they'll be like, oh man, y'all ain't No, we got thousands of views and followers and subscribers. So we need to, balance that out. But look, we out of here, y'all. Enjoy your week. We love you. Peace.
For sure.
So back to what I was saying.